we need to rethink even how we feed each other and how we build community around food. From a farmer's perspective, what would it take to actually feed people locally? I don't think anybody really spends a lot of time talking to farmers and what they think can happen. Hello, my name is Philip Kauth. I'm the Executive Director of REAP Food Group in Madison, Wisconsin, and this is The Layered Onion. I've always been really into plants. My parents had a garden and was always gardening, and grew up in Wisconsin here, went to UW Stevens Point, and was a bio major, and I took a intro to plant biology course there. I was like, oh, this is great. I would love to figure that out. And then I went to grad school for horticulture at the University of Florida and focused on seed ecology of native plants down in Florida. And so we did a lot of restoration work. After that, did 1 year in Mississippi, and at that kind of at the tail end of that project I was working on, my friend Tim, who I went to grad school with at the University of Florida, sent out an email and said, hey, I'm looking to hire somebody to run this lab at an organization called Seed Savers Exchange in Iowa. And I told Tim, like, I'm looking for a job, looking to get back to the Midwest. And he was like, it's kind of an entry-level job. Like, you have a PhD. Like, why would you even consider, this job? And I said, just kind of looking for one and something that I think I'm good at. I know how to do it. And ended up at Seed Savers Exchange. And if people don't know about Seed Savers Exchange, it is, most people know it as a seed company, but it's actually not a seed company. It's a nonprofit organization, and it's been around for almost 50 years now. And the focus is preserving heirloom garden and open pollinated seeds. And so I started there in 2012. Thought I'd be there a couple of years and ended up being there for 9 years. Worked my way up to the director of preservation there and started doing really great work with connecting farmers across the country to different types of seeds. So I did a lot of work with indigenous farmers and connecting them to seeds of their ancestors, and Black farmers down south, some really great Asian American farmers out in California. And like that really provided me some clarity of like, oh, we need to rethink how we think of seeds and agriculture, and how we rethink of food production in this country. And even like, we need to rethink even how we feed each other and how we build community around food. And one day I just saw the job post at REAP and thought, that looks like a really great job, because I just want to get back to Wisconsin where I grew up and wanted to continue in the food system. And it just spoke to me, and that's how I came to REAP. So REAP has evolved quite a bit. It's been around for 25 years. It started, I'll give you a little background history of the organization. It started as just kind of this grassroots network. People were getting together in each other's homes and really wanted to put an emphasis on, how do we actually teach people to eat locally? How do we get our local officials to support local agriculture? Well, we need to educate people on how to do that. And so they started the Food for Thought Festival in 1999, and it just kind of blossomed from there. REAP became an official nonprofit in 2002, and started the two original programs that REAP ran were the Farm Fresh Atlas, which is a local food guide to the state of Wisconsin, and our Farm to School program, which is that's even evolved over the course of 20 plus years. When that started, it was about educating kids where their food came from. Let's get local foods into the schools, and really emphasize the locality of in supporting local farms with Farm to School. Over the course of years, more events happened, and for a while, REAP was really event-based. Like, they held a lot of events But then COVID hit, and then you couldn't do a lot of events, and they decided to kind of pivot. In the last couple of years, we've really kind of put a lot of emphasis more on how do we serve as a connector to kind of like the pollinators of the local food scene and the local food system. And so we look at how do we build community around food? How do we connect our network of 300 to 400 farmers around the state of Wisconsin to new buyers? Anything from individuals to large institutions. But at the heart of it all is community. And that's kind of the sweet spot we found for REAP. How do we bring people together and really advocate more so for local food production, connecting people to their local food producers. We don't just work with farmers. We work with food producers, so people that make food. We work with local chefs as well. And we're always looking for new people to bring into our network and expand kind of what we do. If you think of Madison, it's urban, but once you get out, it gets pretty rural as well. The county doesn't have any food systems planners. So when you think of planning, people think, well, you have transportation, you have infrastructure planning, you have other sorts of planning offices within your local government office. There are no food planners in Dane County. And so when people see land, they instantly think economic development. And what does economic development look like? It looks like housing, because there's a housing issue in Dane County, retail, commercial space. They don't think of it as that farmland can actually be used for food production other than your large row crops, corn, soybean. So what we are doing right now is we're working with a couple other organizations and consultants on a food action plan for Dane County. And one of the things we want to do is bring all sorts of farmers together. Small veggie farmers to large dairy farmers to large row crop farmers, and really get at the heart of, from a farmer's perspective, what would it take to actually feed people locally? I don't think anybody really spends a lot of time talking to farmers and what they think can happen. But yeah, the scalability, you can do that. You have to put an emphasis on preserving that land for farmland, and you need to let people see that it is an economics issue, because you have direct to consumers, you have direct to institutions, and it can be very sustainable because then you don't have to truck your food in from outside sources, across the country, to feed people. And of course, the climate is an issue because you can't grow in the winter. But then you have to start thinking about what other types of food systems infrastructure do we need to actually feed our local people. I'm currently working with a group on Madison's terminal market, which is a cold storage facility. So that was funded through a grant opportunity through the USDA called the Resilient Food Systems Infrastructure Grant. One thing this area lacks, and a lot of areas in the Midwest lack, are cold storage facilities for farmers, processing facilities for vegetables that farmers can sell to, or they can rent space to store crops over winter. And then there's the seasonality of it extends it out through winter as well. So there's a lot I'm talking about here. It's land preservation for farms, it's food systems infrastructure. It all goes hand in hand. But we need an actual plan in place to hand over to our government officials. And then you need organizations like REAP to make sure that those government officials are actually doing what we recommend. It's a great question. I mean, if you think of rural Wisconsin, you think of what? Farms. And so how can we take this plan and either scale it up for the state or go to other municipalities and say, here's some recommendations that you might be interested in. I mentioned this cold storage facility, terminal market, which is they call it a terminal market because it's where all the produce goes to either get processed or stored. Like, what if we had those in all sorts of, different regions around the state where farmers in local areas could actually do that and store food on a long-term basis. So it's, a lot of people also say like, well, how do you get buy-in from organizations and people? And I would say to them, like, if you actually create a plan together and incorporate community into the plan and hear community and listen and really take to heart what they're saying, there's no buy-in because they help create that plan as well. Getting people to realize that, it may cost a little bit more out of pocket up front, but it's a return on investment as well. If you're buying from your local food producers, you're supporting local agriculture, you're creating local jobs in the area, and you find those farmers that, really take care of the land. We work with a lot of farmers who, take pride in the fact that they love the land and they take and steward the land, and even farmers that raise animals. If you want to be a part of our Farm Fresh Atlas, you need to take a pledge that you treat your employees and your animals with care and love. And, finding those farmers who raise their animals ethically as well is actually healthier for you. They actually taste better as well. And so it's this whole system of getting people to realize that it's better for the economy and it's better for us as individuals. It's better for the land. It's better for the animals as well. So it's this holistic approach. Well, not everybody has access, and not all these foods are accessible to people. We're lucky in the Madison area that there are stores that you can go to and you can buy local foods and local produce, but that's not always the case. Even in the Madison area, there are areas where the only thing available are processed foods, and we as an organization want to be clear that those food choices are totally fine, right? People, we should not judge or dismiss the fact that what people have available to them is what they have available to them. And so how do we work with people to just change their perspective, or like the food systems planning work? Like, well, there's no grocery stores over here, or, potentially bring a farmer's market over into that area as well. So it's not an easy, simple solution, and it's highly complex because food choices are a tricky matter for a lot of people. For sure. And so I know somebody who's actually like trying to work with Quick Trip, who has their own processing facility and cold storage over in the La Crosse area, to be like, hey, you're the only food place for miles and miles and miles. Like, let's work on some food choices here for people. So they actually have the choice to make as well. And yeah, some people will be like, well, I don't really know how to cook with fresh produce, or I have a physical disability and I can't do it. And that's okay, because everybody has to eat, and people should eat the food that they want to eat as well. Food planners across the country. We really want to position this food action plan as a resource for the entire country to say, hey, if you want to have a robust local food system, like, this is how you do it. And so we're hoping that REAP can play a large part in that future planning process as well. And I also think, like, how do we better connect with our local farmers and hear what they have to say, and like partner with some really great organizations to actually provide local foods for them as well. One of the programs we run is called Farms to Families, and that is was co-created with another organization in Madison called Roots for Change. And so what we do is, on a weekly basis, we send bags of food, locally sourced food, to families with young children. And so how can we use that to kind of, here's a model for food distribution that it's expensive, but hopefully we can get food pantries and food banks to really look at, hey, let's really think about our food choices that we provide people as well, and the education that we can do along that. And I think that's come a long way in the last couple of years since COVID as well. But yeah, I think the community building piece is the big one. How do we continue to build community around food? Celebrate each other, celebrate food, bring joy into what we do, and bring a little bit of joy and love to like the Madison area, and expand that out a little bit. I think hearing the perspective of the REAP staff has been really amazing since I've been here. And I think one thing that they always emphasize is we do so much with love. And what we want to convey is that the farmers we work with do that as well. So there's a lot of love that the farmers that we work with grow and take care of their land as well. So our hope is that it's very philosophical, but like convey that message to everybody in the area, that there's a lot of love and appreciation and gratitude. And if we really want to, prop up our local food systems and give people choices, like, what better way to do that than to figure out how to support our local farms? Yeah, so number one, the food action plan, we need more perspectives. We need a diversity of folks to come in and give us thoughts and perspectives. We have a survey out there at the moment, which we can pass along, so people can take it. And it's about a 20-minute survey. It's actually pretty long, but we want all of that information. That's the number one thing we're looking for right now, for people to get involved with the food action plan. Watch out for events. We have a food truck called Uproot. It's a little bit different model. We partner with a lot of local chefs and take it to events that you might not see a food truck at. So last year we went to American Players Theater with Chef Yusuf Bin Rella, and we might be doing a couple more of those this year. So we're always kind of thinking outside the box when it comes to our food truck. You don't find it like on the square or at festivals or things like that. It's really mission driven. So that's another way that people can get involved, by supporting your local food entrepreneurs and local farmers, because everything is coming fresh off the farm with that food truck as well. This is Philip Kauth, and this was The Layered Onion.